one. All right, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Talking Table podcast, where any topic is on the table. Today, we have a friend here. Well, her name is Victoria Zhang. Introduce yourself, Victoria.
Hello, my name is Victoria. I go to UTS and I am in grade 11.
Fancy.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
UTS seems stressful. Another special program, perhaps? That is precisely why you're on today. Today, we will be talking about stress and special programs. So firstly, I want to ask all three of you guys, what is stress to you guys? What do you think stress is and what are the effects of stress?
I guess.
Deanna?
Am I being voluntold by you?
You are now. How the tables have turned.
Okay, stress. Okay, my definition of stress is probably very different than all of your definition of stress. For me, it's like me tending to be extremely emotional. You know how I talk a lot and then how I'm emotional on a normal daily basis? When I'm stressed, it's 100 times worse. Yeah, very surprising, right? I see like all your surprising faces, like Sante's like eyebrows just went up. His forehead started to have like, what is it called? Wrinkles. Yes.
Creases.
Yeah, that thing. So yes, for me, it's just like talking a lot more. And then there's this
Talking
feeling
with
in my
us?
heart. Talking with you guys. What?
Yes. Is that stressful?
Talking with, yes, you guys are very stressful people to talk with because you guys are all so smart and I can't be on your level. Sad. Okay, anyways, yes. So like I have this feeling in my stomach and like in my heart. Which side is my heart?
Left.
Your left.
Left.
My left. Yes.
Or actually, yeah.
So like it's like butterflies in my stomach and my heart just starts thumping and like I have to do this, but like I want to rest. That's like what stress is for me. Like I want to rest, but I have something to do. So in my head, it's just like debating between one and another thing.
Right.
Yeah. And I tend to be very,
My definition of stress is basically similar. It's like a feeling of emotional tension. Like I'm just split between two events.
Mhm.
Like I'm just really frustrated and angry. Like that's what stress is all about for me.
Did you say
Especially
trust-rated?
homework.
Did you say trust-rated instead of frustrated?
Frustrated.
Well,
You see, Jackie is like another copy of me now. Emotion. Yes. Okay. Anyways, go on, Vic.
for me, stress is just like I have stuff to do, but I don't want to do it. Or I have a million things to do and I don't know which one I have to do first. And then that worries me.
Mhm.
And then it gives me like, like an impending sense of doom where you're like, I'm going to fail everything. And then you end up wasting time worrying about it. And then you have even less time to do things.
Yeah.
The vicious
Yeah.
cycle.
Yeah, it's a vicious
Yes, that's pretty true. Stress is to me when there's too many things to do and not enough time to do them, or too many things that you have to do and not enough time to do them. Well, it seems that Victoria from the UTS, do you think that the workload from UTS is overwhelming or like put together with your extracurriculars and all? Can you compare that to your days in public school?
I have a question. What does
Okay.
UTS stand for? What is UTS?
University. UTS stands for University of Toronto Schools.
Really fancy.
People often think that it's like U of T, but it's just a high school that's kind of associated with the university. I think people generally think that private school is more stressful than public school, but I guess it depends on the school and the program that you're in. But UTS is weird because we take 10 courses a semester instead of 8, I think is what normal people take. So
Normal people.
Is there additional like homework load?
I think it depends on what class you have and what teacher you have. For certain teachers, like last year I had biology. The teacher was like, I expect you guys to study for 1 hour every single day. So honestly, it really depends on what courses you take, but I think most people get the same amount of workload. It's quite stressful, but I think that's mostly because people don't use their time properly.
Right, procrastination.
Yeah.
I think
and
procrastination's
also,
like
mhm.
it's the main cause of stress.
It is. That's like why I'm always so emotional and like stressed out. Okay, and also like you know how you said like 10 courses like first semester, whatever, something, right? Like what are those 2 extra courses? Like how is those 2 extra courses different from?
I mean, UTS is a little bit stranger than other schools because in your first year, which is grade 7, you have to take 3 separate art classes, so drama, art, and music, and they're all mandatory. And then in grade 8, we also have to replace one of those art classes with Latin, which is also not a course that you see that high school teaches often. I think that might actually make stress even worse for some UTS students because they feel like, why am I learning this when most other people aren't? I'm not sure exactly where the core curriculum differs, but I think most high schools all have like the same courses where it's like English, a language, usually French. You have to take math, and then you have to take a couple of sciences. We just have more variety and more pressure.
That sounds
Why'd you take on
complicated.
the pressure? Wait, why'd you take on the pressure though?
I think UTS has like a what is the word? A reputation for being academically successful, and I think that's why a lot of people go to UTS. But then a lot of people go to UTS with the expectation of like a specific academic rigor, and then they end up putting more stress upon themselves. I think like a very, or at least like a very common type of, or sorry, a very common like example of like UTS students putting a lot of stress on themselves is actually like the marking system that we have. For example, most schools use like 1 to 4 for A to D, right? But UTS students have become so try hard that they had to create an entire new level called level 5 because UTS students were trying to differentiate between someone getting like a 92 and a 94. So most people get 4s and 5s. And get like relatively good marks, even though I think most people think that the marking system is very linear. So like 5 is 100, like 4 is 80, which is definitely not the case.
UTS is like AP, right?
Yeah.
Does it get converted or is it just you get what you get?
I think marks get curved, but it mostly you get the curve when you're in higher grades because UTS wants people to get good marks in their higher grade.
Wait, this
So,
leads me
like,
to
mhm.
this leads me to a question that I had in mind. So like who places stress on us? Because we used to think that parents place stress on us by encouraging us to go to school. But like nowadays I feel like we're placing stress on ourselves. Like we want to guarantee our future. So like how about you guys? Like who places stress on you?
Both, I would say both. Like for me, I'm a person who like what's the word? Phase? Like I want face. Like it's not like actual literal face. I have a face, but then like the other face, you know? How do you
Pride?
explain that?
You're a
Pride.
dark shadow?
Like
Dark
like
shadow.
I care about how other people view me. Like the Myers-Briggs test, right? There was this one question about like, oh, do you care about how others view you or something? So like I care about that. So like sometimes I just do my best to show other people. That's like the number one thing. I know. Yes, Santi, I see that face of yours. Stop judging me.
I'm
Oh my
sorry,
god.
it's unconscious. I'm
Something's
unconsciously
judging you
doing
so
it.
hard.
So like I do my best to let other people see what I can do, and also my Chinese relatives. My cousin is going
my
to a
gosh.
medical school back in China. A medical school.
As always.
Yeah. Do you know how high
As
that
Asians
That's
can
expectation
the
be.
is?
Asian stereotype.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
look at your successful cousin. Oh my gosh.
I
only
know,
have one
always
cousin.
comparing you to people who are better than you.
Yeah. And then like, and also like, yeah, that's for other people. And then for me, I'm just like, let's say I get, I don't know, a 92 for the first test, right? And then I get like a 98 for the second test.
Oh, why
And
didn't
then
you get
it's
100?
Did
And
you
then
get 100?
wait,
If you get
Why didn't
100,
you get 101? What
wait,
happened
but
to
then
the
like
bonus
this is
marks?
like for myself, right? For myself, when I see the 92 and 98, I'm like happy. But then if it suddenly drops, like I don't know, a 95, I'm just like, I'm gonna die soon. It suddenly just dropped by so much, you know? So like
right?
for me in that case, I'm like, I'm not happy myself. And then the third one is for my parents, right? Like my parents, they also like face in a way, you know? So like when they see my grades, and if it's not very good or something, then they will have like they'll lose face. Is that a word? They'll lose face. Yeah. So like in their mind, they're like, oh, my daughter have this grade. It's not good. What can I do? And then so like I
Disown.
want to, yeah. So like I want to like,
That was the joke.
wow. Okay. So like I want to make them feel happier in a sense. So I do my best to make them feel happy. Oh, and also, I just remembered the fourth one. The fourth one is specifically for friends because I have very successful friends, like you guys right there here. You people, very successful, very smart, intelligent,
Who?
intelligent
Who are you
people.
pointing at?
So, like in this sense, right? Like if I'm around successful people and I do bad in this successful group of friends,
All right. So essentially, we are.
glad that you joined us, Jackie. Like last
Comrade
time.
Jackie.
Okay, anyways, it's fine. Jackie's internet is a bit weird. Like you guys seen it last time for the stories episode. He's alive and dead at the same time. It's okay. So what was I talking about? Friends, right? Right. So like if I'm around successful people and then they're being like really good, but then I suddenly do bad, I feel like they don't want to be friends with me anymore because I'm bad and dumb in a sense. So I try to do my best to catch up on with them. Vic, stop smiling. I know what you mean behind that smile of yours.
I don't
So
know.
yeah. How about you guys? How about you,
Uh,
Santing?
It's cutting out here.
Yes, Jackie, you are cutting out. But join us when you can. Okay, so what you said mostly about comparison, I guess that is very much a valid point. I guess, yeah, people say don't compare yourselves to others. If you do, it's only going to make you unhappy. But you can't, for more myself personally, I can't not compare myself to others. Others are like the standard, right? If I see that everyone, the average is a 98 and I'm getting like an 84, then of course I'm going to be so upset. Like that indicates that I am lacking behind that average. But there's always someone that is better than me that always causes me stress. Let's say I suddenly become like top of this class. I'll look at the class that's beside me and see that, oh my gosh, everyone's there. And everyone there's averaging 100 and their teacher's harder than me. So I work harder to try to get rid of that stress. And eventually, if I am somehow able to catch up to that, I'll be like, oh my gosh, look at someone at that school who has a 102 average. Then I'll try, that stress is gonna try to make me work harder. So that point about comparison, that stress drives you, I guess. As you compare yourselves with others, stress will make you improve yourself. But stress is what's generally regarded as a negative feeling. But I actually think that that stress is it makes
Motivates
you
you?
better, right? It motivates you exactly. It pushes you forward. So I guess in
That's
moderation,
why. Is that why you
I
always
think
ask for my mark?
I want it. Well, yeah, like I'm usually too stressed after a test. I want to feel better about myself.
Jackie's
All right,
back.
I'm
sorry. I had to
joking.
briefly restart
That
my
was a
laptop.
Comrade Jackie, you have rejoined us.
Yay! Okay, wait. Let me just like not spoiler, like tell you guys something that you guys didn't know about Santing. You see, Santing is
Don't
very
expose me too
smart.
much.
I will
That's cap.
trust.
That's
I'll
cap.
be nice. I'll be nice. Santing is
Yes.
very smart. He gets stressed
That's
very
cap.
easily. That's not cap. And then every
Oh,
single
yeah.
time he finishes a test, he's like, Leanna, what did you get? Oh my god, my voice. And then I'm just like,
Yeah, I
I
think like waiting to get the test results back, that's really stressful.
Uncertainty behind that. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yes. And then when Santi asked me that, and I didn't even realize I got my mark back yet. I'm just like, I got my mark back. What? So I start to look for it, and then I become more stressed, and I see my mark. I'm like, what if Santin got higher than me? What if he starts laughing at me? What if I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, I
So I
feel like
never tell you my
Liana,
mark.
Liana would get higher or like as high. No, most likely higher. She is really smart too. What was that
Ah.
laugh? Jackie too. I asked Jackie that, and Jackie's always like, I got a 98. And I'm like, should
No,
I
wait,
should
when
I
did I
share
say
my
that?
mark? Well, I know you got 98.
How about you, Vic?
I think I agree with Song Ting where like stress is a good motivator, but I also think that again, like you can't have too much of anything because
No, I didn't.
I think it's a lot easier to look back and be like, oh, I'm not doing well enough, but it's not as easy to look back and be like, oh, here's how far I've come and how well I've been doing. So
Right.
also in
We
general, I
always
think
we always focus on our failures.
yeah. Like again, it's like it's always easier to remember something that you've done poorly at than something that you've done well, right? Like when your
Very
friends
well
start
said.
stressing out.
Very
Like when your friends start stressing out, it's like really easy to be like, no, you're doing well, right? But then
Yeah.
when your friends try doing that to you, you're kind of just like,
It doesn't
no.
work.
all know that one person who's like super smart, but then they're always like, oh, I'm failing, I'm failing.
I'm failing,
And
gets a
them,
99.
yeah,
That's
and
Santing. That's
them being
Santing.
upset. No, that's not me. That's
That
actually
is
not me. No, but
Santing.
like that's cap right there. No, but like
Cap
listening to
alert,
that one person
Santing.
panic, that is not true. Okay, no, but like listening to that one person panic makes you panic. You're like, if 98 is not good enough, me with my 84, what am I going to do?
Santi and Amy. Santi and Amy. Right there. Santi and
What?
Amy.
Name drop. Amy's not here.
It's fine. Amy will be
She'll
back
see
next
this
episode. She'll see this. It's fine. Guys,
It's
like,
actually
okay, and also like stress, right? What Santi said, like the motivation thing, like as a motivator or something, right? In the beginning, like for a math exam, I'm gonna expose myself right here. For math, okay, I'm not gonna tell you the specific grade, but then like for math, I got really bad in the beginning this year.
98.
First test,
She only got 98.
no, I got lower than 90.
In her
Oh,
I
mind.
got
no.
lower than 90. I got lower than 90. I got really low for my first test because I didn't care about it that much because I thought I knew the answers, but I didn't because I made careless mistakes with my decimal places. Lost a lot
Gets
of
a
marks.
96.
Yeah. So it was really bad, below 90. And then afterwards, I kept on getting below 90. But then, okay, don't worry now. I'm back. And then, like, for the fourth test, I started getting hundreds and everything, like, after on for the assignments and everything. So, like, I looked back at my tests, like, from the first day. And then I'm just like, oh, you know, motivation it actually worked. Because, like, from that test, I kept on doing all the homework questions. Because, like, I never really done it before. So like after that, I started doing every single question I see on the textbook. I'm just like scribbling everything down. And yes, hard work pays off. Stress
I
is a
guess
motivator.
it's like it's more of like if you learn from your mistakes, right? Like when you make a mistake, it's really traumatizing. So you just
Yeah.
want to work as hard as possible to avoid that.
Yeah.
This is slightly unrelated, but also slightly related. I think the more successful you are, or like people who are really smart, like you guys, when you do something like wrong, or if like, for example, Leanna's like really smart, we all know this, but when she gets like an 88 on a math test, it kind of just like it's like a major blow to like her self-esteem. Does that make sense? Because she's like, I'm not the type of person who would regularly get an 88 on a math test. So when
Yeah.
she does, she's like, wait, I don't even know who I am anymore because that doesn't make any sense. So I think people who are really successful, it's like a lot easier for them to feel like a failure, like ironically, because any small thing just makes you doubt yourself like a lot.
I don't agree with the smart part, but I do agree with like the 88, the math part. Like I've never gotten below a freaking 95, maybe maybe last year. But then like I never really got in below 95 for math. Oh, only math, guys, only math. But like this year, I got below 90, and then I just saw
Today,
that.
IB boosts.
And
Where the IB
yeah, but
boost.
it doesn't cover. SL does not cover. Okay, this reminds me. What is IB? What is IB and what is AP, right? What are the boosts? What are the equivalencies? What are the conversions? What is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7?
It is us, IB, AP, all these special programs. It's people who want to challenge themselves, but then they notice that they are not up for the challenge the moment it's too late to turn back.
Right.
Oh, the
That's
IB and
excellent.
AP.
If
It's
you
like
think, I mean, if you think about it, like AP exams, the entire College Board thing is supposed to be like high schoolers who are learning university level stuff, which is kind of
Mhm.
ridiculous because it's like you're not supposed to be cramming all this knowledge into such a short amount of time, right? But then
exactly.
IB is like even further a lot of the
They
time.
claim that they're preparing you for university.
Yeah, but in
But
reality,
they're
like they're teaching
all-rounded
you
students.
everything in university, and then the teachers have to then reteach it to you in university. So you're like, what are you doing with your life, honestly?
yeah. And there's like a lot of additional stuff like CAS, CAS, creativity, activity,
Get you to
service.
Don't
well-rounded.
remind
Service.
me, please.
Yeah, and then like I'm gonna keep on going, Conte, to give you the nightmares. IA for every single subject, I think. I'm not really quite sure about IA. TOK and EE, extended essays.
You know, at this point, if we were to tell future IB students like random acronyms, they would believe it's real. Like we're like, you need to prepare for the ZYT, the KSP, the RIS.
The
And they'll be like,
144.
UFO.
the UM, and they'll be jotting down notes like, oh my, it's like their lifeline. Oh my. Everyone goes into these programs thinking that I will be top of the class. I will be the best. I'll be able to take this on. But then
Right.
2
But
years
then like
in,
the
and
second
they're
that they're in, nope.
Regret. No
Just
turning
seen,
back.
like, I've seen like I've seen like these sixth graders who have taken AP calculus and they like go into the like UTS or some other private school and they're like, yo, I'm gonna do so well. Like I'm so smart. And then the second they get like a 90 on something, they're gonna be like, oh my God, my entire life has been a waste. And it's just like
That's Vic.
everything just builds up and then like one small thing topples your entire Jenga tower.
Yeah. And this relates back to stress again. This whole thing is related to stress.
Right.
Like everything, right? Like when we're not prepared, like I think we were sort of prepared when we went into these programs, but then like we weren't really that sure about like what these things are. Because like people who are older than us, they're sometimes like, oh, it's not that bad, it's stressful. But it's like, okay, you just have to sleep late, you'll get good. You just have to memorize, you'll get 100. You just have to like practice, you'll do fine. But then when we're actually in the situations ourselves, we're like,
no, just
it's
not.
not
No.
like that. That's not
Get me
that's
out.
like, yeah, it's like very different. Like extended essay. I never thought like that 4,000 word essay, I never thought it would be that hard, like thinking about a topic. And the topic is so hard because you have to like put your mind into it and find articles and everything. So like
I was about to give up at the topic stage.
That's why, like in IB right now, like getting good grades is more important than ever. But like sometimes it's really hard to like focus on like actually doing it, especially with a lot of distractions and procrastination.
yeah, procrastination.
The thing is
Stress.
this,
Mhm.
these stressful programs, they would be a breeze for any student in Asia. In countries like India, China, South Korea, they would come and see IB and be like, oh, you call this elite? You peasants, you rookies.
Peasant.
The thing is, yeah, have you heard the stories of Chinese schools in China?
All right, and they also have this like final test that dictates their whole entire life.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That must be like one of the most stressful things ever. Because I remember my mom was talking to me about it when she was like, when I was young. She was like, oh, you're so lucky that you live in Canada and you go through like the Canadian educational system. Because I spent 4 years of my life writing a test.
I
To
think my
them, that's
parents,
stressful.
my parents, they said they moved to Canada just so that I don't have to do that test.
I've
Like,
heard.
I know it's not real, but like it is. Like it goes to show how hard that test is and how much stress
Exactly.
they put on these
Yeah.
students.
Stress to
also-
them, it's stressful, but to me personally, I think I would melt the moment I walk into the room. Like the amount of knowledge in that room, I can't handle it.
I know, like it's
Yeah.
gonna dictate your whole entire life, and you spent like 4 years studying for that.
And they also have this test where they go from like elementary to high school. They also have one test because like I don't think like for us, right? We go to the school that's closest to us. But
Mhm.
then for like the elementary to high school process, they also have this really big test, except for you, like you're an exception. And
I
then like
drive an hour to go to UTS every day.
Bruh.
yeah, so like back in China, like the elementary to high school process, they also have a big test. And that test determines what high school they go to. And that high school to university is also like really important. So there's two main big tests, but we only sort of have like, do we even have a big test?
Uh,
Do we?
SAT
Not
counts,
really.
but that's
SAT,
optional.
but that's in
Kind
America.
of.
Yeah, that's
That's
optional.
optional. Yeah.
I think okay, this is something that like I think we can relate to because we're Asian and like China has the whole Gaokao thing. But
Oh, yeah.
I think my mom doesn't understand exactly the Canadian educational system. She seems to think that like the SAT is like the Gaokao, where like if you get a 1600, you'll get into Harvard. So I don't think she really understands why I spend time like, you know, until 3 a.m. doing my project for physics class that she's like, does that really matter though? And it's like, I think for like our educational system, it's more like little things pile up. So you kind of have to like be good at everything.
little
Like you have to be
thing.
Yes,
good
in,
consistently.
yeah, in combination like with a lot of extracurriculars. Because
Right.
like the Gaokao thing, they don't focus on extracurriculars. It's just like a test, and like like when you get a certain result, right, and that result dictates what university that you're going to. But I don't think they understand that in Canadian universities, they actually look at extracurriculars and how rounded you are.
Like as a whole. And
Yeah, it's a
also
different
for like,
stress.
yeah, also in China, they have rankings, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, they're like number one, last place. If you're the last place
number
of your
two,
class or
number
whatever.
three.
Yeah. And then like that also causes a lot of stress. Like I feel like there's different types of stress in different countries, like in different schools, different programs, different countries. Like the stress they feel is gonna be like different. Like it's still gonna be stress, like at the end of the day, but then like how they get the stress is gonna be different, you know?
I think
Yeah.
in general, like the educational system in other countries might be different because in Canada and then in the US, they use a lot of standardized testing, but they also use a system that doesn't use standardized testing, as in like they care about who you are as a person. Whereas in Canada, China, they just see you as like a number, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
makes
holistic review
sense.
system that we have is like I've talked about this with my cousins, and they said, "Oh, that's such a breeze. It's so easy." But I can assure you, if they were to come here and they had to do 8 hours of volunteering a week, have to play 2 instruments, they have to be in, they have to be the president of 3 nonprofits, they have to be executives on 8 other ones.
That's
Oh my
only
God.
you.
Oh, okay, no,
Song Ting.
that's not even me. No, but it's like,
Yeah, Song Ting's
okay.
just showing off right at this
No,
point.
no, no, that's actually not me. No,
Something's
that
like,
was a
everyone
hypothetical.
clone me, guys.
No, that was just a hypothetical. No, but the thing is like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, in my opinion, one test and that's it. If I just have to, if I get 4 years to prep for one test, that's it. That'd be so much easier. It just comes to show how stress is relative, right? Stress, you can't really say that this will always be stressful to everyone, or this
Yeah,
system
it's also
is less stressful
subjective.
to everyone. Yes, it's
Yeah.
very subjective.
And also like another thing is like we don't only get stress from schoolwork. That's like not the only thing. We
No,
also
no,
get
not
yeah,
just
we
that.
also get stress from social life, like talking and like extracurriculars, like right? Like okay, let's move on from like schoolwork. Let's not talk about like friends, like not friends, social life. Yes, social life, extracurriculars,
I have no
volunteering.
friends.
Same.
Oh, me
Oh my
too.
God, I'll be your
So,
friend, Jackie.
I can't relate.
We can be lonely together.
Mhm.
So like yeah, like social life that also causes like a lot of stress, right? Like
Mhm.
this relates back to our fourth episode, friends, right? Like who you become friends with, how you deal with your friends, how you search for your friends. Like that's like that in the end is very important because like if you don't get good friends or if you can't find good friends, that will cause you a lot of stress like later on because things will happen. And yeah, mistakes are
Drama.
made. Yeah.
And
Like,
especially if you don't choose the right friends, you choose cancerous
yes.
friends.
We all chose the wrong friends, guys, except for Leanna.
Yep. Leanna.
I am like I connect everyone. You see, you guys all know me and you guys are like friends now, right? Yes.
Yeah, I feel like you're good
Yeah.
at networking.
Except like Song Ting left me alone at the very beginning.
Hey, I was expecting other
Oof.
people to be on talking. I'm sorry.
Not
I
very gentleman
apologize.
of you, Songting. Very
Hey,
disappointed.
well, it's not very ladylike to be like, get on and then have no one on. Oh, okay, it's fine.
So like social life. And also like relates back to our Myers-Briggs one, like how people perceive you, like how you talk to other people, right? Like that can also cause stress. Like if you say something, like let's say Jackie,
Right.
hi Jackie,
Yeah.
you look pretty nice today, right? Afterwards, I think
Thank
back
you.
about it.
Thank you.
Afterwards, like let's say I leave and I think back, I said, Jackie, you look nice. But then that can also cause me stress because like I can be like, oh, what if he thought I was being sarcastic? What if he thought I was
Yo,
lying?
that happens all the time with me. Like I worry so much about these types of stuff. So like during like I guess any sort of an interaction, like I was like I guess 2 hours after that event happened, like I'm always thinking back what I said, what I did, and
Mhm.
what if they interpreted it differently, and what if they hate me now? Like that type of
Jackie,
stuff is always
remember
so
what you
stressful.
said? Yeah, you should think back again 2 hours later and remember what you said.
I don't
Yeah,
regret anything I've ever said to you, Leanna.
I don't think
The
I
thing
regret
that
You
anything.
big. You.
overthinking, that's overthinking is actually one of my biggest problems. Like I overthink everything. And then like oh, I make make like this elaborate spider web of events.
Mm,
Like one leads to
Yeah.
another and what people actually think. But the thing is,
yeah.
I know more than half of them are wrong. Like I know like there's
Yeah, I
no
know
way it's
they're
true.
wrong, but yet I still think about them and I still worry about
And it
them.
causes me stress. I'm like, oh my
Mm.
gosh, like it's possible. I mean, it's possible. But then it's like it's so embarrassing to go up to someone like, so the other day when you called Stephen a goldfish,
Did I
did you
offend your
mean that?
feelings? Did I hurt you in any possible way?
And that's
Exactly.
also like a lot easier through text, right? Just like saying story. Oh, this isn't
Mm,
story. Did I say story? Did I say sorry?
Story.
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 You're
Sorry, I
gonna
meant
regret that for
story.
like in 6 years.
It's
You're gonna
okay.
think
I'll
back.
bleep that. Grammar 101 with Leanna.
Don't no grammar. Yes, nothing at all. Okay, so like this isn't really related to stress, but then I feel like saying sorry.
Sorry is Canadian.
Just
Sorry is American.
apologizing.
Yes, just apologizing in
Sorry.
general, right? It's like a lot easier when you're doing it through text because like you think the other person will understand you better through text, but then like when you're in person, like be like,
Yeah, there's like
I'm
a whole
s-
another
mm,
dimension that you have to worry about, like
yeah.
your face and everything.
And like your tone of talking, like you know how I just said, Jackie, you look nice today, right? So like
Mhm.
if I
I
went up to
did.
you,
Aggressive.
so like if I okay no, let's change it up. Be like, Jackie, you don't look nice today, and then I come back the other day,
Ah,
I'm just
nice
like,
joke.
Jackie, I'm
Nice one.
so sorry that I said that you didn't look nice, right? Like that voice, that facial expression, the other
Like
person might
you,
interpret it
always,
really
you always
differently.
have to take into in consideration. Yeah.
I think
Ah,
so. Because we use like social media a lot digitally, we also have to keep in mind what what other people will initially see from you, right? Like outside of interacting with people in person, we also interact with a lot of people online, which is why I think a lot of people spend a lot of time like worrying over what they like their social media profile or how they talk to people that they don't really see in person. And then I mean that's pretty stressful, but then when you meet someone for like the first time in real life, you're also like pretty stressed out. But I also think like in general, just maintaining a lot of relationships along, like with people in general, and then keeping in mind that you also have a life outside of that is also pretty stressful. Just
Yeah.
functioning as a human being is stressful, guys.
Yeah, I mean, starting friends is really easy, but like keeping them, that's the challenging part.
And
That's
finding
it.
good ones. Yeah. So like in general, social life, homework, schoolwork, different programs, the type of school you go to, that all comes down to like stress. Like it's stressful, right? And there's also like extracurriculars and volunteering. Like we briefly talked about that. Like Sonting talked about 8 hours of volunteering, being in charge of 3, what is it called? Nonprofit
Clubs?
organizations, being
President.
president of 8 clubs. Sonting, tell us how you think
Sounds
about extracurriculars and volunteer.
that sounds more like what something Leanne would do. The thing is this. I feel like most of the people who I know who are in lots of these projects or lots of these programs, like organizations, everything, they're not in it because they want to be in it anymore. They truly believe in the cause. It's sad to see that almost everyone who's doing it, they're doing it because of the university applications.
Right.
They're
And
doing it,
also
yeah,
sort of as a requirement
really.
almost. So
Yeah,
like
it's like
the only reason why I volunteered is because it's a requirement.
that is
Because
the
like
harsh truth.
yeah, I know. Like you get quantitative values, right? Like you get
Mhm.
like a certain amount of hours. So like therefore, like all my life is based on these numbers.
Yeah, it takes away that
The real
aspect of
meaning.
humanity. Yeah.
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 And yeah, in IB we have something called CAS. And by the way, that was not a made up acronym. Okay, that's not like the RJT. But anyways, CAS. I've read that the purpose of CAS was so that a student will have the activities that make them less stressed. They will pick something that they like to do outside of academics.
Mhm.
But I find that in reality, most of these CAS projects, people treat it as another subject. They
I
treat
mean, I
it as
guess
work.
like in the short
Mhm.
term it is stressful, but in the long
Right?
term it might provide some like valuable skills that might help you in
Yeah.
the future. Like how to
Cooking.
time manage, especially like how
What's
to time manage and how to work well under stress, that type of
but
stuff.
so many people they don't want to do anything. Like any extra activity will make them more stressed. Well, I feel like that's
Yeah,
kind of on them, but
that's
still.
true.
Yeah, I feel like CAS, it's supposed to make you do things that you like, right? Like, or
Mhm.
something that you've been interested in for a long time, and now you can just tell your parents, like, it's an excuse to do something that you like. Be like, Mom, I always wanted to try cooking, and now I can try cooking for the first time, right? Like something like that. So I feel like CAS, it's supposed to give you that kind of vibe. But like, yeah, what was you said something, like people think of it as like a must. I have to do this. And then I have to do something really impressive. I don't know, making up a company or something like that, right? So like that defeats the purpose.
But
I
like part
Very
of
true.
CAS, it's also like
So
choosing what you want to do, like what you find stress relieving. But many people
Yeah.
fail to see that and they just want to impress, I guess, their advisors by doing the
Mhm.
yeah,
best.
I feel like, well, I can't relate, but I feel like the second you attach like a number or like a grade to something,
Mhm.
it starts becoming less enjoyable in a sense because then you have
Mhm.
like a standard that you have to uphold and then it stops being like enjoyable. Like if I were to do like I do gardening as a hobby, but if I were to be graded on my gardening, I'd probably just stop gardening altogether because there is like too large of a margin for error when it comes to everything. So then at that point, I'm like, I'll just do math problems, like because I either get it right or I get it wrong. Like you can't mark me for like accidentally killing a snail or something.
Yeah, that makes sense. And also like yeah, for me it's like flute, right? Like I really enjoyed playing the flute, like flute. And then like yeah, like I just enjoyed it. But then like afterwards, I had to do like the RCM for flute. Terrible memories. I really enjoyed it and I had to do the RCM for it. And then I'm just like, that defeats the whole purpose of me liking like just liking an instrument, liking the sound that comes out of it, right? And yeah, like I don't think okay, my parents understand now, but like back then they didn't really understand. Back then they were just like, you have to do this for your university or something. But
yeah,
I didn't do that good compared to other people. But then like yeah, you have to do it. But then like I explained to them throughout these years, I'm just like, this might just like defeat the purpose of like me liking it. Like if you didn't force me to do the RCM, I might have just like continued like, you know. But then like because I did the RCM, that's why I sort of stopped after I finished the RCM.
Yeah,
You
my
passed, right?
sister
I
did
passed.
the
Yeah.
exact same.
Past 10. Yeah. Thing is, yeah, you see, when stress, it makes you achieve a goal. It forces you from point A to point B. But stress makes the journey unpleasant. So it depends
It
on what you
does.
are doing, I guess. If it's like a subject, let's say something that you like a topic of knowledge or like an area of study that you're trying to know to master, where like the destination is important, then perhaps maybe it's stress, some stress is good. It'll push you from A to B. But if it's like a hobby or something that is meant to be enjoyable, I guess it's right once you attach a number onto it, it becomes a task, something that you're doing for the sake of doing it and not for the enjoyment of doing it.
Yeah.
And I
think
feel like
Mhm.
and I feel like without stress, it's actually like a bit more hard. It's harder to be productive because like stress, that's basically the main motivator for us to basically finish tasks on time. Because like since like like the human brain, it's always thinking of procrastination and this and that. So like by being stressed at the end of the day, that's what keeps us going. That's what makes us finish assignments in like 2 hours.
Exactly.
But how do we know that when we have like too much stress? Like, how do we know that we have too much stress in our life?
I guess when it stops, when it starts ruining things that you previously thought were fun, right? Like I've seen a lot of people whose hobbies have been turned into like chores. Like I used to enjoy playing the piano a lot more, and it started going into like, oh, you have to like do RCM, you have to do piano competitions, you have to do Kiwanis, and then I started disliking it. So when I quit piano, and then like 2 years later I went back to it, I actually enjoyed it a lot more. So I think when it starts ruining aspects of your life that you didn't think could be ruined, or it starts like, you know how there's like a balance between the different aspects of your life, be it like academic or social or like self time, when it starts disrupting that balance and you have to start pushing away things to make space for something else, then you need to like reevaluate your priorities.
Yeah. And there are also ways to sort of just like solve like not really solve it, but like how do we reduce the amount of stress that we have in our lives? Because like sometimes just accumulating them isn't that good. Like, okay, for me, I'll go first because I have a lot to say. I'm talking about. I can't control the amount like
Right. We
the
have a
amount
lot
of
of
me
stress. So
talking.
like how do we
Yes.
deal with all the stress?
Yes. So like for me, okay, I feel like crying. Okay, just like getting the emotions out, right? Like okay,
Let it
not
all out,
cry.
Leanna.
Let it all out. Let it go. But then
Let it
like
go.
Cold never bothered me anyways.
okay, but then like crying, not like every single day, like not every single time that you have stress. Like for me personally, you can't cry every single time you have stress. But then like for me personally, it's just like when it gets really big, like when the amount of stress just accumulates up, like I don't know, to my eyes, the bottom of like my eyes or something, right? Like I just let it go. I can't control anymore. So like when someone just
Tears.
yeah, like when someone like my mom, she's just like, oh, how are you? She literally just asked me, how are you? And I can just burst into tears. That's so weird. But like, yeah, but like sometimes letting it out is like a really good way. And then the second way is annoy your friends. That's what friends are for, right?
I mean,
Are you stressed 24/7, Leanna? Because that's how I feel.
That's why okay, you see the reason that I'm not crying is because I rant to you guys. You know, you Victoria, it's like, yeah, you're like my outlet. Yes.
Why me?
I have no friends. You're the only one I have, Vic.
but here's the thing, like having a friend to bother, like that's just taking our minds off of something, right? So that we don't
Yeah.
have to deal with whatever's making us stressful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like it's only temporary relief though.
Yeah, exactly. That was what I was thinking during Leanna's rant. Because the things like how I deal with strangers is stress is really strange compared to
strangers.
it's very strange compared to how you guys fit. Like, yeah, I get that feeling of wanting to cry. But for me, when I want to cry, I just put my head down and like do the task that has to be done. For example, if I do I want to okay, during the summer I bought a textbook this thick 2 weeks before summer was about to end. And then I'm like, I have to finish this. Yeah, I finished it within those 2 weeks. Oh my gosh.
Wait, Songting is like he's like the perfect like optimizer. He's like, why waste time crying when you can do both? And then he just like does work while crying.
That's smart though.
my-
No, but like you can make stressful situations enjoyable basically. So like as you're reading over the textbook, you can be listening to music or something. And I
doesn't work
heard
for
that
me.
using
You're
like I
allowed.
guess inhaling essential oils, that also helps to improve, I guess,
Essential
reduce
oils.
stress.
With the level of stress that I'm under, I'm gonna inhale an entire candle.
I got like, okay, I recommend this thing. What is it called? Essence oil? Oil essence? Essence?
Essential
Whatever.
oils.
Yes, essential oil. Essential oil. Okay, I bought it from Muji. It's like the flower kind of smells really good. I don't know if they sell it. I think they ran out, but then like it's really good. So when COVID ends or
Yeah, I
something, if
bought it
it's
all.
back on
She
when it's
bought the
back
entire
online,
stock.
when it's back online, guys, go buy it. I suggest it. I'm not getting sponsored. It just smells good. It truly smells amazing. Like when
Smells
you
good.
sleep, put it right next to your like little table, and like just like not too close to you. Like put it in a table that's a bit further from you, and then you just it smells good.
Yeah, it's not just like temporary relief. Like I heard that like inhaling essential oils that actually leads to like long-term stress relief
Hmm.
That's cool.
because like yeah, it's basically medication.
It's like good medication that relieves stress in a way.
I
Just like
think
chug it down.
just chug it, drink it. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't listen to those two.
Don't do
Yeah,
that.
don't chug it, but it is edible. I will say that
How do you know?
How do you know that?
You tried it.
because
Jackie
I
was
will
like,
not.
I must know.
I won't disclose what I did. It's okay.
Guys, for our audience right here, these three are dangerous human beings.
What? No,
Don't
what
okay, maybe it's
slander.
separate.
We
You should
do it
be
in the
nice
name
to
of
your
science.
guest. Yeah, oh wow. Okay, 2 out of 3 people are mean to their guests. Jackie's the only nice one. I see.
No
What?
way.
I think though,
Hospitality.
stress never really goes away because it's always
Mhm.
there in your life, or else you're just
Yeah.
gonna be like a potato sitting on your couch for your entire life. But I think like you need foresight, or just like you need to look at the big picture where you're like, ultimately, if this small thing isn't going to affect the rest of your life or isn't going to affect anything other than 24 hours, then like just try letting go of it. I mean, obviously it's like you can't just be like, let go, forget about it, Leanna, like just do it. Like you need some way to remind yourself, right? Like whether that's like surround yourself with nice people who will check in on you, or set alarms for yourself to
Nice
check in
people.
on yourself. Nice people. Leanna doesn't know what those are because all we do is
Nope.
tell the truth. But yeah, I think
You mean
like-
roast and flame?
in general, like you just need to make sure that you're not being too focused on one thing, and you need to just check in with yourself or have other people check in with you, and then cope with it however you like, right? Like sleep or listen to music or get roasted by your friends. But
I have another idea.
yes.
Food.
Oh my gosh.
Food.
Making food in particular.
You got me there.
Bubble
see?
tea.
I have a drink right here. Bubble tea.
Oh my god.
Oh
And a
my-
bowl of food.
But guys, but I'm just gonna like tell the audience like as a disclaimer, like you shouldn't be relying on food as a stress reliever, because that's how
Yeah.
most people become obese. Like every time
Yes.
No, I'm not saying Leanna's
Escalated
obese, but like
quickly.
I'm like
Stress
in general, like I'm not recommending that you
Why
use
did you
food
even
as a
bring that
stress
up?
reliever.
It's time
did you
for
bring
me
that
to
up?
leave, guys. I think.
No,
Okay.
that's I'm serious because like most obese people, most fat people, it's because they use food as a way to deal with their stress.
I can attest to that.
Impulse
Guys,
eating.
so like another way
Well,
is to just balance out
okay.
food and exercise, right? Like exercise.
Just
So like
make
what
sure
I
to take
do-
care of your
Mhm.
body.
Oh, exercise, like spending time in nature.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I've heard
like
Because,
what I
like,
do, like
exercise
I
is good
eat a
stuff.
lot. Like I eat a lot. Like as you can see, what I just showed you right there, a lot of sugar. Okay, actually, to be honest, a bubble tea is only 30% sugar. It's not that sweet. So like
30%
what I do,
sugar. It's
okay,
like
what I
it's like
do,
this much, is it? Holy.
Jackie, are you gonna let me talk?
No.
Yes, I'm gonna let you talk.
Okay.
See, he's so
So-
nice.
I
He's
know
gonna be nice
Jackie's a
one
really
here.
nice person. Excuse me. Excuse me.
You don't know me. You
I've
don't know
known
me
you
well
for
enough.
how many years now, Vic?
Too long. I don't need that much of you.
Christ. Okay, anyways, food and like exercise, right? Like for me, I might eat a lot, but then like I take out time from my day to
But?
exercise. Yes, and something laughs at me for that. When I don't have enough time, he's like, "Just don't exercise. Just do the stuff and don't exercise."
No, you are misrepresenting what I said.
Something
I
can't
was-
relate. He's naturally buff.
He was born buff.
I will take that as a compliment. She just doesn't know me well enough. Well, you should eat and exercise at the same time, right? Like
No,
you
no,
know, like
that's
those
good.
little
You want
It's
to
gonna
crayfish.
cause
puke?
a
Bro, don't do that.
appendicitis.
You know the crayfish? You know, like those tiny crayfish we have in China?
Are you
It
comparing
takes
us to
so
fishes?
much work. Pardon? The crayfish, right? It takes so
Okay.
much work to get a tiny piece of meat. It's like it
Now
burns
that's
more
true
calories than you
pain.
eat. Like
That's
if you
why-
want to lose weight, just
Mhm.
eat those. Eat like 8
Or you
kilograms of
get
those.
people to make it out for you, get the meat out for you, and then you.
Leanna's rich. She can't relate.
Yeah.
She
Oh,
doesn't
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
she
Doesn't
hires
work.
people.
We're not 10 millionaires.
No, the restaurants sell them with their shells off.
No, they don't.
No, they
Yes,
Well,
don't.
they
like
do.
some of
You
them
can
do.
ask. I swear you can. I got. You actually
You have to
can.
pay extra for them to peel it, but
Yes, that's
unrelated.
You.
I
it's like a
think
6-star Michelin restaurant or
6-star
whatever.
Michelin.
No. Okay,
No.
but like,
Yeah, just take care of your body, right? Like,
yes, take care of your
don't
body.
be cramped in your room. Please leave your house once in a while with a mask on, preferably.
Yes.
get
Or go to
exercise.
your backyard.
Oh,
Yeah,
taking naps is also a good way to relieve some stress.
Yeah, sleep.
Mm.
Oh my gosh. I think, especially
What is
grade
sleep?
11, I found myself sacrificing sleep so much, and that's backfired so much. I'm like, it's worth losing 2 hours of sleep if I can get this assignment perfect.
It's
And then for that one night, I felt like it was worth it. But the problem starts when there's another assignment and another assignment
Mhm.
and a group project and a test.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting like 8 hours of sleep in a whole week. Like that's an exaggeration, but it's still
That's why
it
you
was
can't
not
procrastinate
worth it.
at all.
Yeah, in the
I-
long term, your
Mm.
brain just starts dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My pro tip for like not being able to finish something in a night is actually to wake up early the next morning to do it. Like I don't do I'll wake up at 6 o'clock when it's due at 8 o'clock, but like I'll wake up at 4 and then I'll finish it by 6 and then I'll go to sleep for another 2 hours, right? Like make sure you sleep.
But like
And
no,
then
no.
you do
Wake
But
up.
make sure you actually wake up.
Yeah, make sure you actually wake up. Guys, like set 10 alarms.
Yeah.
Oh, I
yeah,
actually
it's
cannot
better-
hear my alarm clock.
Oh.
No, set like 2 different alarms. So like one as your
I
phone
do.
and one as an actual alarm clock, and
I
set like
do.
10 alarms for each of
Dude,
them.
you should put like
I
your
do.
alarm outside of your room, like
Yeah, then
outside
you have
the
to
door.
get
so-
up and turn it off.
Exactly.
Then
Yeah.
my
But then the
parents are
things
gonna
like your
kill
family
me.
members. Yeah, that's true. Your family
Yeah.
members.
Comes out of their room, be like, "What are
Or
you
they
doing?"
close the alarm for you. Like you just wait
They-
2
they
minutes,
will,
they
they
close
will.
it for you.
Yeah,
Like,
my
where's the
parents will
purpose?
actually do that.
There are ways to get around it. Like you can put your alarm clock like across the room from you, so then you have to get up and like turn it off. There are also alarms that you can buy on like Amazon or whatever, where it like vibrates under your pillow, and you have to like manually solve a problem or something
Is it,
before
like-
you.
Yeah, that's smart. Cause like
Yeah.
every time I
What?
turn off an alarm, then like all of a sudden I want to go back to sleep and I just fall back asleep.
Yeah.
So that's pretty
For
unfortunate.
me, my bed is on this side. I have a desk on the other side with a sheep on it. There's a really cute sheep on my desk.
Moo-moo,
And
the
then like
sheep.
yeah, the sheep. So I sleep on the right side and I put my phone on the left side. So I have to like roll over a lot of times to get the phone. That works. You have to like roll over, you know? And rolling over is kind of hard. Yeah.
Thing is
like-
this: if I lose sleep, I become stressed. I'm sad the whole day. But if I didn't sacrifice that 2 hours of sleep, I would have handed in an assignment that I knew wasn't good, and that would have caused me stress for that day.
Yeah.
So
So
either
sometimes I do feel like it is worth it. Like it's a worthy investment.
Investment.
either way, we are screwed. We are going to be stressed. I
Yeah.
guess the way to that, like the way to deal with that would have been like not
Just
watching
don't
movies
procrastinate.
not
Yeah.
watching movies right after class. Speaking of sleep, I think last night, I even though
4
though
a.m.
we
something.
had 2 weeks, I did not sleep at all, and I think it is time for all of us to catch up on some sleep and do some work so we don't lose sleep in the future. For today, the table is too tired to talk, and I'm also too tired to talk. So we will see you back again next week on another episode of the Talking Table Podcast. Bye, guys.
Good night, guys.